What's happening, everybody? Just Greg here, just me. Beth's downstairs sleeping. It's a Saturday afternoon. I stumbled upon a video from Robert O'Neill. If you know who he is. If you don't, I'll go through some shit about Robert O'Neill. Happens to be the dude that shot Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden. And what it made me think about were rules for building anything. We're going to get into that here in a second. First things first, go out, like, subscribe, do all the things you would normally do. I don't know why I have headphones in. Go ahead and do all the things you would normally do for any podcast, if you don't mind. Give us a thumbs up, give us a review. Do me a favor and just do that. iTunes, Spotify, hit them all. I think I even put shit out. Somebody puts shit out on TikTok every now and again. I don't care about TikTok though. Keep that in mind. All right, with that, let me pull up Robert O'Neill's Wikipedia. There's a reason I'm bringing up Robert O'Neill specifically because I'm going to play you a video here in a minute that very specifically calls out what it means to persevere. And I'm going to look at this from an organizational, like a building a project, working in a corporation, starting a business, anything as far as that goes. Okay. So it's a little bit different, but I do want to give you a little bit of background on Robert O'Neill. Okay. So Robert O'Neill, he was born April 10th, 1976, about 4 months before I was. We're both old fuckers at this point. He happened to be in the U.S. Navy SEALs. I guess that's pretty much, there's only a few people that are going to go out and kill Osama bin Laden, right? It's probably going to be him or like Chuck Norris. It's really, there's only two groups of people. One is a person, Chuck Norris, and then one is an entire team of people. Are they equal? Probably. Some would say yes. Some would say Chuck Norris equals all of SEAL Team 6. I don't know. I've never seen SEAL Team 6 kick a planet, do push-ups where the earth moves. It's only Chuck Norris. But these guys are like a real close fucking second. And Robert O'Neill, if you don't know him, you can go out to Drinking Bros. Drinking? Jesus Christ, Greg, you've been a fan of theirs and friends with them for a bajillion. Drinking Bros podcast. Go out, check out Drinking Bros podcast because he's Rob O'Neill has a podcast out on the Drinking Bros network. And let me see real quick. It's The Operator. You can go out there. He talks all sorts of fun stories, great times. But the reason I'm getting into him specifically is this video that I'm going to play here in a second. So he was a member of SEAL Team 6, right? He did the whole where the one helicopter crashed. They still had to infiltrate into this building. They did the shooty shoots up the stairs, shooty shoots. I think that's how it goes. I was in the military, so I think it's just shooty shoots. And then he walked in and went pop, 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 pop. There's a whole story behind that. Check this video out because this is the crux of what I'm going to get into today. Find the right ear hole for the right thingy majigger. If you are in the corporate world, you're going to have projects. I mean, sometimes you just do your daily mundane tasks. But sometimes you end up having things that are required of you, where in my case, which I'll talk to you guys about here in a second or in a minute or so, that take you 6 or 7 years to accomplish. You set this goal. You don't know how long it's going to take. I work for a company that's been around for 100 years. Shit moves slowly. But that doesn't have to be the case. I have 16 different things that I want to chat with you about because I sat around and thought about these after I watched this video. Let's go. Here we go.
People will be so close to a goal 95% of the way there and have a bad day and then throw their hands, or a series of bad days. That's it, I quit, I'm done, You are not having a bad life, you're having a bad day.
100%.
Now, saying never quit and never quitting are two different things, so I need to tell you a story. You're in the Navy, so you know how to tie a lot of knots. The test is go tie a series of knots with this rope around that rope. So the instructor will say, go tie a bowline knot. So you hold your breath and swim down there, tie a bowline knot and you back off. Spend about a minute. He comes back down and checks it, kind of like, yeah, okay, that's good. So you untie the bowline knot, you go back up, you get one breath of air, enough time for him to tell you about knot number 2. So he'll be like, okay, go tie a square knot. The test is simple. Tie 5 knots in a row, you pass. Now they give you a certain amount of attempts at each test, but a friend of mine named John was on his last attempt. If he doesn't do all 5 right now, they're going to kick him out today. He'll never be a SEAL. Lifelong dream, that's a lot of pressure. On his 5th knot attempt, he drowned. So the instructor swam down to get him. He straddled John and started immediately with a sternum rub, trying to get him to cough it up. Then he started CPR. And we could actually hear him saying to John, come back to the light.
Listen to this.
So John was out for a minute and a half, finally spit up all the water out of his lungs. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Did I pass?"
This is the important part.
So the instructor kind of sat back on him, and he's getting his color back too, because he gets to keep his job. And he goes, "Yeah, man, you passed." And John goes, "Thank God, I finally got the 5th knot." And the instructor said, "Well, no, you didn't. Look, I'm in a good mood right now, so I'm going to let you in on a secret. I don't care how many knots you know how to tie. That is not part of the curriculum to become a Navy SEAL. My job simply is to see how far you'll push yourself. You just killed yourself. You passed the goddamn test. Good job."
All right. So that being said, that is the extreme. All right. Over the past 7 years, I've worked on one big project, and it's coming to, I hope, let me get into the rules. These are the things that I've set. I'll give you a little background. So I've worked on this program for a long time. I can't specifically say. I work for a corporation that, we're doing proprietary things. So I can't get into the details of it. But what I can tell you is that it is pushed every little boundary that I have. What I mean by that is like, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep working at this, the same thing for years? And like, I'm at this point right now, this inflection point of, what do I do? If it if it fails, am I a failure? I don't think so. What have we learned over the way? So I'm going to go through, I got a whole bunch of things that I'm going to talk to you about here. This really applies to starting anything, I think. So how can we incorporate what Rob O'Neill just said into the corporate world, or maybe as an entrepreneur, or even as you could do anything, write a book. You want to start your own little company. You want to do Shopify. You want to do fucking anything. How does this happen? How do you see that? And what is the goal of it, right? If you're willing to give it all, it might change something. It's my first thing. And this is something I've been with my company for 22 years, right? I've been working on projects for, I can take these out of my head now. I've been working on projects for 15 of those years. For 7 years, I was kind of like just doing kind of like member stuff, like working with members, talking to people. And we call customers members at my firm. Y'all know. Set a goal is the number one thing. When you start a project, you start an idea, is what is the goal? Well, you first have to have the idea. After we talk through ideation and you've come up with the idea, we set a goal. You're going to deliver your benefit of something. What is the benefit? What is the benefit to your customer? And customer can be anything. Your customer can be an actual somebody who's buying it. It can be somebody that benefits from the product you deliver. It can be anything. Set a benefit for it. And what's your benefit set? What's the timeline for it? People don't want to hear 10 years from now. They want to hear 2 months from now, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Figure it out. That's a big fucking thing. Visualizing your goal, seeing the benefit and actually being able to understand what your end state product is going to be. If you had a 3D printer, and back when I started this program that I'm working on, there was no fucking such thing as 3D printers. 3D printers are like maybe at a commercial level there was, but not like people having them like sitting on a table over there, right? Or maybe there was. I don't know. Nonetheless, you get what I'm fucking saying, right? It wasn't as normal. Visualizing it. Write it the fuck down. Write what you want to have happen and what your goal is. Write it down. I want to save this amount of money for my company. I want to create something brand new and proprietary that has never been done. I want to launch a space dick into orbit. Jeff Bezos, right? And meanwhile, Jeff Bezos has got like $1 bajillion, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Number 3, get the right people to back you. What I mean by this is not just getting financial people. Like, you're going to go through, if you start your own company, you need funding. Period. Unless you're fucking wealthy, independently wealthy, you hit the goddamn megabucks, Powerball, what you got a lucky scratcher one time. You need to have people in your corner that understand what your goal is and what you're trying to deliver. So with me, my primary goal in my projects is always based, and I've said this to lots of different people, like when they come into the firm, it's like, I always think of our members first. Some people may be like, hey, we need to make money. That's not me. I'm just not, but it's not my company. I mean, it is my company and I want to make money for the company, but ultimately I want to make sure the members are taken care of. So what are you looking for, right? But those people, are they aligned with you? Are your leaders financially, technically, like from a technical standpoint? Do you have IT people that understand what you're looking at? People that know other people are important as well. I've been in this industry for quite a while, in the specific industry that I've been working on. I've seen companies come and go, but what you do see is you see people jumping from one company to another. And it's kind of interesting, right? But they all have this expertise that you want to understand. You want to be friends with them. You want to know what's happening on the next generation, right? All above board. Do not do any sort of crazy. I'm not saying there's no insider trading or anything like that. We're not Nancy Pelosi-ing this bitch. This is just industry. You can go out and Google things, right? Number 4, be your own loudest advocate. Share your idea with absolutely everyone you can think of. Have you ever heard of an elevator pitch? Your 20 seconds, your 30 seconds you have with the CEO, or maybe it's just some rando going up you're standing in line at Starbucks. What do you do for a living? Well, I work on X and X and X and X, right? I work on, boom. I'm a car sales administrator or whatever you go. Carl's I'm a Carl's Jr. cheeseburger distributor. Maybe that's what I was getting at. I haven't had Carl's Jr. in a long time. I'm hungry also. But you know what I mean? Like, think about that. Like, what is your elevator pitch? How do you think through that? Be your own advocate. Next, plan to achieve your goal. What's the steps? Architecture plans, process maps, all of these things that you need to do to see step by step by step. Process map, meaning not just a process map, but a timeline of if we started doing development now on whatever. If I started this podcast today, I want to hit this, and this goal. I really should do this for my own podcast, for this podcast, for The Bar Is Open, for Just Greg, for Beth Naughty Reads, for Baldy the Big Guy. We have tons of them, but I do this for fun. And I love just shooting the shit, as you can see. Setting that plan out there, right? This is going to be a big one. This one is going to hurt. This one's going to hurt. Oh, it always sucks to fail, doesn't it? It sucks to fail. But plan for failure. Absolutely 100%. Plan to fail the whole time. This is one that will keep you up at night. This is also one that will give you the most. This is one that's going to give you high blood pressure at this point because you're like, I don't know if there any. I've invested all this time, effort, money, fucking blah blah blah, and you're like, and I still don't know. I've worked on this program for 7 years, and I'm not sure. As many times as I've looked at our business case analysis, I've had our strategic finance office look at it. I've had our business partners look at it. I've had all of these various risk and legal, and everybody's like, yep, you're good, dude. I still don't believe it. Right? You're like, will it happen? And will it come to a point where the benefits are what you think they are? Because the benefits might not be. It just is what it is. The reality, like what you project for, it could be way more or it could be a ton less. And where that balance is compared to what you've invested in that, I've seen companies come and go because of that. Think about that. Plan alternative strategies. This is a big one. Plan, okay, what happens when something goes sideways on you? Because you're not going to know. So we do what are called releases, and we'll roll certain things. You may be familiar with this with like a new company comes out and they release something into a state. Let's use Hard AF, for instance. Hard AF releases into several states, right? They can't release countrywide because it costs a lot of money to do that, right? Or there's exposure there, or you just can't get the cans. They can't get the liquid, or the volume is too much, right? You think about that, and Dan and Ross talk about this a lot. It's like, holy shit, we just can't keep up with supply. Well, you don't want to have that. It's a good and a terrible problem to have at once, because you have people that are like, fuck off, I can't get my hands on some Hard AF, right? Well, they sold out, but they can't get their hands on cans. That's a supply distributor issue, and they've talked about this. I'm not making fun of them. We're invested in them. But on the other hand, it's okay. What happens when you try and release and something goes wrong? How do you pivot on that? Well, you look for an alternative distributor. You look for a secondary. You look to back those up. You try and find alternatives to your solution. So if you're a small company, you're looking for, say you're printing t-shirts, right? I go to one of my friends who makes my t-shirts or whatever. And then all of a sudden you guys decide to go out to the Bar is Open with Beth and Greg and order 10,000 fucking shirts. Well, my friend who prints ours on demand, like, or not on demand, but on like I order a bunch and then I send them out. I mail them personally and sign a little thing, right? And say, hey, thank you for buying the shirt. If all of a sudden 10,000 shirt order comes in, I've got all this fucking money, but I don't have the distribution capability. Well, then, holy shit, but I still want those super nice shirts and I still want all of that. What do? How do I pivot? How do I look at that alternative strategy? You have to think of this shit well in advance, because what's going to happen is just like what happened to me. It goes sideways. You have a test environment, or what you do is you test in certain locations. You do a sample here and you say how big of a product it's going to be. How big is it going to happen? What weirdness is happening with it? Are the shirts coming out fucking turned sideways and the print's going to happen weird? Is the vendor okay? Is the API connection that we have to get data from this company to this company? Is our systems process? All of these things have to actually happen, right? Think about those things. Once in a career, you hit it big. You hit a project that will absolutely change, I would say, like, change your resume. It's not making me money. It's not doing anything like that. I mean, I make, like I said, I've worked for this company for 22 years. I'm not saying it's not making me money. But if you're out on your own doing what I'm doing right now, you're making considerably more money doing it. So be aware of those types of things. I shouldn't really say that. No, I should say that, because, well, it really comes down to this. Without the backing of the organization that I work with, the firm, there's no way I could do what I'm doing, because it takes so much investment, unless I was one of these smaller companies and took a giant risk. What I'm getting at is, sometimes there is an opportunity where you can make a huge impact financially for the organization and a benefit to those members or those customers, both sides. But it's rare. Most folks are like, go to work 9 to 5. This was me until just recently. It's a weird situation when you actually have this once in a lifetime kind of program pop up. If it happens, you need to be able to step back and go, holy shit, what do I do? How do I acknowledge it? Another thing I try and do is recognize it and then share the appreciation with everybody, because it's not just me. Like, I'm just the coordinator of a lot of stuff, right? And just like you'll be the coordinator of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of other people that go into this stuff, right? They're into these programs, into your company. You can build your company by yourself, but it's only going to get so big, right? As soon as you add to valuable people, that's where you see this exponential growth of your company. You just happen to be the person with the idea and the drive and that never quit kind of attitude, like, because you've put everything into it, right? So these are the times where you're tested, is when the 95%, as Rob O'Neill had mentioned, 95%, it's the last 5. I told you, I'm like, dude, is it actually going to work? I don't know. Will it work? I don't know. Holy shit, is it going to work? I don't know. Second guessing yourself, right? That 5% tenacity. drive, perseverance, get through it, prove it out. I literally go to work and I go, holy fuck, what happens if it doesn't work? Do I lose my job? I don't think so. Maybe. Still going to make a few bucks. We know that. All of those things, like every day. I wake up every day thinking about that. That's a lot of stress, but I also take ownership of it, right? One thing I would definitely say is surround yourself with the most trustworthy fuckers you can actually think of, right? The most trustworthy people you can think of. What I mean by that is people that you can go to and like download on, like just vent. Like, holy shit, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. And you know they're not going to go out and talk shit because you do it for each other. That is a huge thing. In the corporate world, like that's a big deal. Like where you know you have confidence in people. Sometimes it just takes knowing somebody. I know most of my coworkers. I've known most of my coworkers for 6, 7, 10, 12, in a couple of cases like 20 plus years, where I could say, this is fucking retarded. I need to do something, or I just need to vent. That's a huge thing. That just gets you need some breathing room sometimes because you're too close to it. You're too close to the program. You're too invested in it, right? You need somebody that's a sounding board for you that you can actually check yourself and be like, holy shit, am I crazy? Am I the crazy one? I might be the crazy one because that absolutely happens. But they're also your advocates, right? They're the people that when you have to take that day off, you want to take that day off. You would like to go on a week vacation, perhaps, maybe once in a while, take a vacation, right? Take a long weekend. You have somebody that can fully support you. So that means you have to get them fully up to speed on your programs. So what we do a lot, and I do a lot, is I have a counterpart and we cross programs. We are fully up to speed on what's happening with my program, what's happening with their program, what's happening with their program. And I understand if you're an entrepreneur and you own that company, you might not have somebody that can do that, but you need somebody that you can trust. Is it a brother? Is it a coworker? Or is it somebody that owns another company? So if you're a restaurateur, do you have a buddy that's a restaurateur that if you wanted to take a day off, or God forbid something bad happened, right? Somebody passed away, you need to take some time off where you're there 100 hours a week. You're the bear. You're there all the time. Something bad happens. What do? Who steps in for you? You have to have that person. Very, very important. These last three, I know we've been going on for a while, but this is kind of an important thing. These last three. I don't ask for shit. There's literally, once you are done with this, once you deliver your company, you release your company, you launch your company, you release your project, you do anything, there's no thanks to it. There just isn't. There are thanks from people generally like, hey, good job, great job, boom, boom. That lasts about, you've spent 7 years of your life on this. And I think about like some companies that I know, some CEOs that I know for companies, they've launched companies and, you know, they've moved on or sold the companies. And literally it's like, yep, sold it, done, cashed out, moved on, whatever. Or they're still CEOs and they're like, I went from being a one-person company or one person or 2 or 3 person CEO to like hundreds of people or 1,000 people, or in some cases a little bit bigger. There's no thanks in any of this. So You have to be prepared for that because it is just work. It's your life's work. And be happy in the fact if it succeeds and it launches and another company comes and buys your shit. Maybe they buy the whole company. Maybe you get on, maybe you are the hard AFs and get on with HEB and you get on with Kroger and you get on with all. That's amazing. But the fucking work never ends. Never ends. Just like with my program. It's never going to end. It's just going to keep going. I'm going to pass it on to somebody and then be like, oh, I get to see my baby move on. The next part that comes up is really going to kick you in the dick. If you work for a corporation, right? A company, 100-year company, you'll win and you'll get your accolades for the moment. Like, hey, we released this and this and this, and we did this, and we're going to make X amount of money off this, and members are going to be protected and blah, 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 blah. All that bullshit. There is the what's next expectation. What's next, Greg? What are you going to do next, Greg? Where's the next big idea? Where is that big idea? Whereas this is the biggest idea I've ever had in my entire life. Saw it from start to finish. What's the next idea, Greg? What's the next idea? What's your next idea? Because if you work for a company, you already did that. That was in the past. Companies just keep trucking along. Sucks, but it's true. The company's not going to go anywhere. I talked to you guys. I did the podcast with Beth about Beth. The company just keeps moving, right? Appreciate you. Love you for your service, or thank you for your service. Do all of those things. What's next? What are you gonna do for us next? That's the corporate world. That's fine. But set yourself up. If you have this once in a lifetime idea that happens and you work for a company and it's just exceeded, you got a reality check. That's what I have to do. I've got a reality check because this program I'm working is a once in a lifetime type of program. I don't know how to exceed it. There's nothing I can do right now. Gen AI type of things, maybe, but that's not I'm not in that field yet. I'm in a different field right now. So again, be careful, be responsible, be smart about all of these things I've thought about or I've talked about, right? And just kind of go, meh, fuck it. I'm going to drive. I'm going to persevere. I want to push these programs together. I don't know what else to say. Good luck. As Rob O'Neill said, you might die. But if you die, they'll bring you back. And I'm not saying like literally, talking about like figuratively, because sometimes you just go, holy shit, this is hard. I feel like giving up. I want to give up. But I've worked at it for so long. I'm 95% of the way there. Can't give up now. Fuck that. There's no way I'm giving up now. Why would I? I would never. Right? Don't give up. If you have an idea, if you have a podcast, if you have a company, if you want to make chips, you have a new flavor, whatever the hell it is, drive. Keep doing it. Just make it better. Iterate. Do all of those things. It's okay to fail. Just fail fast. Fail fast. That's kind of the whole thing in an innovation space. You want to fail fast, right? You've probably heard that. Like, Edison went through 8,000 light bulbs before he figured out how to, I don't know if that was the fucking real stat, but he went through a shit ton of light bulbs, right? Before he figured it out. If you fail, pick yourself up, get a new solution. As long as you have a good idea. And even sometimes bad ideas are good ideas. Check it out. All right. It's been a lot of fun. You're probably tired of hearing me talk, but go out, check out Bars Open with Beth and Greg. Check out Just Greg. Check out Beth's Naughty Reads. Check out Balding the Big Guy, all on the same channel. I will catch you next time.